Just picture for yourselves to understand about Chanuka. The celebration of Chanuka is for the great miracles of the many in the hand of the few. But that was what was seen externally. It wasn't just the many in the hands of the few, which can perhaps be attributed to the enormous courage and military prowess and strength of the few against the many. In order to demonstrate that it was a hidden miracle that the Hasmoneans were able to overcome the huge army of the Syrian Grecians, the sages said the celebration should be with the open miracle, which went against nature, that a little jug of pure oil was able to be lit at the consecration of the temple and lasted for 8 days. Now, on the surface, this miracle didn't save anybody. It just postponed the consecration of the menorah, the candelabrum, which was in the second temple. They were able to kindle those lights. And that's what is celebrated today in very many Jewish homes, even homes that don't observe other festivals, but they put on a Chanuka menorah, even if some of them have an Xmas tree next to it. And also today, you'll see in nearly all places where there are Jewish communities, in order to publicize this miracle, you'll generally see in a major junction, they'll put up a very large Chanuka menorah, and you see it on the top of buildings. And here in Jerusalem, we see the Chanuka menorah on all the streets. They put up with the lampposts. And there's great significance in the way in which we have these symbols, and we know this is the way of the Torah, that we create a new lifestyle through physical symbols, which explains many of the mitzvot, but also explains history. The complete obliteration of the Jewish state. So for this, the Romans put out a coin that is Jerusalem est perdita, that means Jerusalem is destroyed. And what's the symbol? The Arch of Titus. And what's the main thing you see on the Arch of Titus? They're carrying the golden menorah, still until today. And thereby they celebrate their destruction of Judea. And we celebrate the survival of the Jewish people through the menorah until today. And that's why Medinat Israel took for itself as a symbol the menorah, which we find also in many ancient synagogues. So what lies behind this? And what is the significance of the seal of the high priest? So, to understand the inner light of Chanuka, I think the best basis for this is the concept of open hidden miracles. We know that the splitting of the sea and the 10 plagues, these were open miracles that brought down the empire of Egypt and demonstrated to the whole of the environment the power of the God of the Jews. So, this is something which we have to remember through many mitzvot, which are connected to remember the exodus from Egypt until today, and the open miracles that accompanied it. And there's a brilliant essay of the Ramban, the end of Parashat Koi, where he says that the purpose of great miracles is in order that we should recognize the hidden miracles, which we refer to in our daily prayer. That Hashem rules the world, His providence still exists, and we are constantly experiencing hidden miracles. And to remind us of them, we have open miracles. We had them in the past in Egypt. We always have to remember Egypt, in order to be aware day by day of the hidden miracles of Hashem. And especially with the return of the people of Israel to our homeland in recent times, what has happened in Israel is miraculous. So much so that heads of the state have said that for the people of Israel, every aspect of nature is a miracle. And what has happened to us also, full of miracles. At the time when they happen, everybody understands this is not natural what's happening. 6-day war, person looks at it from the point of view of military strategy, has to admit it's a miracle. But a few years after the war, we forget about it. And not to forget about it, that's where we have the symbol of the open miracle. So let's go, try and understand this in the light of the deeper hints and insights of the Maharal. So the temple represents the significance of the holiness of the people of Israel. It comes to our connection with the Creator of the world, the Creator of mankind. And that's where the Mikdash will in the future be the place which will bring the teaching of Hashem to the whole world and transform the present period of history, which is constant fights, warfare, cruelty, and that will be replaced by a different lifestyle. That is the utopia for which all human beings dream about, and which is described by all the prophets. So that's the concept of the temple. It was a holy place, and perhaps the easiest, I can't put it on the blackboard, the easiest way to bring into our minds is, if you haven't been there yet, you should see it once, to go in the tunnel underneath the Kotel, and then you get some idea. You didn't have plans there, what the Beit HaMikdash looked like. And then they show you, now you're opposite the women's courtyard. Now you're opposite the men's courtyard. Now you're opposite the courtyard of the priests, where there's also the outer altar. And now you're opposite the Heichal. The Heichal is the more holy part of the temple. It's also called the Kodesh. And in the Heichal, what was in the Heichal? The menorah. What else? The Shulchan, the table of showbread. What else? Third element? No? Anyone knows? Which was the third furniture which was in the Heichal, in the holy place?
The incense.
The altar for the incense. Mizbach HaKetoret. Ketoret comes from Kesher. The idea of the spices was to create a bond with Hashem through purification of Chentov, of good behavior, good midot, through Avodat Hashem, serving Hashem. Shulchan, through Chesed, loving kindness. The menorah, to become enlightened with the light of Torah. And all this had become contaminated from the Syro-Grecians, the Hellenists. The Hellenists made it all impure. As we say, Yevonim, Yevonim, Nikbetzu Olai, Azai Bimei Chashmalim, O Fotzu Choymes Mikulai, V'timu Kol Hashmonim. You know that?
Yeah.
You know that Nigun? No? We should learn it for Chanuka. There's other Nigunim, but that's one of the most popular ones. The Greeks, what does this mean? Moasur. You'll all have to sing Moasur. You should learn it. So, and this is the passage, Moasur, which refers to the Greeks. They gathered to attack me, to attack all the Jews, the loyal Jews, and to tell them, if you become like us, like the Greeks, then we'll absorb you, we'll help you, we'll give you even wealth and high positions. But if you don't accept our lifestyle, then we'll punish you, we'll torture you and kill you. So, it says they made all the oils in the Beit HaMikdash impure, Timu Kol Hashmanim, which doesn't only mean the physical aspect, but also they made all holiness impure. They tried to transform the temple to a place of idol worship, and they built up large halls, or they took over even synagogues and other large halls and used them for immoral types of sports, which included cruelty, which included nakedness, and you had to be the nude, you weren't allowed to have Brit Milah, otherwise you weren't allowed in. So they made all the oils impure. So when they were able, the Chashmonaim were able to overcome them, then what did they do? Then they came and made all the oils pure again. They brought pure oils. They made the Mikdash pure again. And they were looking for pure oil. There was none left, except this one jug. So, we already explained in the previous paragraphs here on this page, that the concept that lies behind this is that it was really the inspiration of the high priesthood, Matziyahu ben Yochanan, Kohen Gadol, that carried on the descendants, the other Kohanim, who were at the spearhead of the opposition to both the Yavanim and the Mityavnim, the Greeks and those Jews who joined the Greeks. And that's the concept of the light. The light is the pure light of Torah with the seal of the high priest, because it was in his family of the priesthood that they were able to preserve the spiritual purity, and that's why they were given great help from Hashem. So symbolically, here the Maharal, did you already bring a pen?
Of the whiteboard?
Yeah.
It's here out by the water.
No, it's white. So the word that's used, heichal, which is spelled like this, heichal. Now, if you have in Hebrew, also in the Sefer Torah, and also even in the prophets, the other books of the Bible, they used to write out the letters, but the vowels were only known by oral tradition. So if somebody did Hey Yud Chof Lamed, you could read it as Hicham. Could read Hicham. Hey Yud Chof Lamed is Hicham. If you want to emphasize with a consonant that you should put, it's not Hichal, it's Heicham, then you put another Yud here. Even today, you read a newspaper without vowels, and they want to emphasize, you spell it, you've got to pronounce it A and not E. For example, a person says he, which means she. So you have he, hey, yud, aleph, right? So everyone knows that's he. If you can, but what happens if you want to say hi? You want to say hi or hey, hi or hey, and you're not using vowels, what would you do? You put in another yud. Then you know, or it doesn't mean he, it means hey. Put another yud. Similarly here, if you would write down a tzere, but you're not using vowels, you put a yud there. There's no vowels at all. Everyone knows that you have to pronounce that can't pronounce it hichal, but a heichal. In other words, in the way in which it's written, you've got an open heichal that's open and known through an ordinary hey yud chof lamed, but since it's not hichal, it's heichal, you've got a hidden yud, which you know through the traditional pronunciation. So you know it's heichal. And heichal means something that contains everything. Call it everything, and hey, everything. It can contain everything. Today, a container, you call it a mechal. It's a different construction. It's a container. It's a mechal. You say a mecham is something that contains water. Mecham. It heats water. Cham. So we have this method of trying to interpret hidden things. You say it like this: if you work out the numerical aspect, that there's a hidden part. The heichal has a hidden part. And the truth is that in the Beit HaMikdash, also when you go under the Kotel, the Heichal is called Kodesh. So it's so this is the Heichal with the three. This is the Heichal. This is called the Devir. Why is it called the Devir? The Holy of Holies. That's the Holy of Holies. It's also called the Devir. Why do you think it's called Devir?
So the
Which comes to root to speak.
Speak to Hashem.
What did the Holy of Holies have in it?
The ark.
The Ark. The first Beit HaMikdash had the Ark with the Kruvim from which Hashem spoke. And that was the holy place. Where also the Kohen Gadol was the only one allowed to go in on Yom Kippur. It's the Holy of Holies. So therefore he says like this. The Devir, the Holy of Holies, was covered over by a curtain, already when it was the sanctuary, and later in the Beit HaMikdash, they put up a wall there, between the holy place and the Holy of Holies. And it was always kept hidden. So therefore, say like this. What is the significance of the seal of the high priest? So the high priest represents the highest level of the supernatural. So if we go a little bit back in the middle of the second column, it said, unfortunately, the Greeks, they were able to make all the oils impure. And only this one jug was left with the seal of the high priest. And the high priest has got a quality above the Greeks. Because like this, the word Heichal, grammatically, He Yud Chof Lamed, so it comes to which number? Comes to 65. Yavan, word Greek, the Greeks, comes to the number 66. And unfortunately, the Greeks, therefore, they're able to overcome the Heichal. So they have a power of 66, the Heichal is 65. That's why they were able to make all the oils impure. And there's only one jug left with the seal of the high priest, because the high priest is greater. So this also goes with the numbers. That's why, because the high priest is greater, the Greeks were able to make the seal jug of the high priest impure. And the word Kohen has got the same number as Heichal, also 65. But there's a hidden Yud. And the hidden Yud, which the Greeks could not conquer, represents the Holy of Holies, the hidden part behind the Heichal. Because 10 represents holiness, and since the Kohen in the Kodesh Kodashim, the number which is 75, if you add the extra Yud, therefore that was what was left. And you should also know, Heichal, all its letters which can be seen, whether it's with the way you read it or the way you write it, except for the Yud, the hidden Yud. What can be seen was controlled by the Bnei Avan. V'nista shelo, but the part which is hidden, the extra yud, from which is hidden because it's just generally it's just a vowel which we know by tradition. If you want to represent it, you have to add another yud. So that represents the Holy of Holies, which was hidden behind the Heichal. And there they only found one jug. The small jug, which the Heichal was hidden, is on account of the Yud, the small Yud. Now going over to the next page, if you're following inside. That's why they found a Pach Katan neged a Yud Aktana Nisteret. They found a small jug which corresponds to the hidden small Yud, which is placed there with the seal of the high priest. For the Kohen, who's got the number of 75, he rules over that which is hidden as well as that which is revealed. And but there's only enough for one day. And then it became 8 days. And what's the significance of the 8 days? They came from the Holy of Holies, of which the Greeks had no power. And this was the hidden power of the high priest. But the only person who could go inside was the high priest. Ein Adam Basham Rak Kohen Gadol Bilvad. Ki lo shaltu ha'Yevanim rak b'nigla shelecha bilvad. The Greeks could only have power over the open part. Of Nisla Shelecha, the hidden part, which is the Holy of Holies, lo shaltu klal ha'Yevanim. Because that was with the seal of the high priest. So now we go on to the question, why did they have to light for 8 days? What was the significance? Can any of you tell me what's tradition? Why did they need 8 days? And what happened on the 8th day? They didn't need the miracle anymore.
I've been wrong before, but in Shema you have the chet, right? That's 8. That's 1 over. What is Shema Yisrael? Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So you have chet, which is 1 over the 7 worlds. So Hashem is over the 7 heavens. So maybe it's something related to that. Like I said, I've been wrong before.
No, that's what we're going to discuss in a minute. Question of the 7 and the 8.
They needed 8 days to.
But the usual explanation is yes.
They needed 8 days to produce new kosher oil.
Yes.
I can do it for you.
And then they were able to use the natural olive oil. Now the truth is, as we already said before, even if they would have consecrated with pure oil, a week later wouldn't have made any real difference. While the great miracles of the victory saved the lives of the Jewish people, and saved also the religious freedom. They were able to practice a Torah life, which they couldn't do before. But the deeper significance of the 8 days, he says that the Holy of Holies represents the 8th dimension. Kodesh Kodeshim Mu'ach HaShiva, it comes after the 7 dimensions. Velama Kodesh Kodeshim Mu'ach HaShiva, Ki Anhagat HaTeva Utach Mitzvah Shiva. Nature has on it the numerical impact of 7. Ki Hashem Shiva Yimei HaTeva, Shebahem Divra Olam HaTevi. We have that from the beginning of the Chumash. But we say the natural world is under the ensign of 7. But it's not physical nature alone. It's the harmony of physical nature. Physical nature is 6. Because today we refer to the natural world as a three-dimensional world. In fact, some say time is really the fourth dimension. But basically, the dimensions of space are three dimensions. That's how we feel and see the material world. That's how we analyze it, under three dimensions, which are six directions. And that's the significance of the world being created in 6 days. Quite apart from the fact that the 6 days of creation are even regarded by very many scientists as the 6 levels of the type of creatures that exist in our universe. There are many books that describe this. The account of creation, first chapter of the Bible, Chumash, they are, you can say to a certain extent, a scientific classification of the 6 grades of the forms of the creation of the physical universe. And the 7th day represents the harmony. The easiest way to understand this, let's say, Einstein says, my understanding of God is that He is the source of the harmony of nature, which science is able to discover more and more during history. So today, there are thousands of discoveries that demonstrate the fantastic harmony, which can only come from the mind of a creator. So that's the concept of Shabbat, to recognize that the whole of the world is a product of a supernatural mind, which is shown in the natural world. This can explain to us why the name given in the first chapter of the Chumash to Hashem is Elokim, which is the same name which is used also, we say Elokim to demonstrate its holiness, but it's used frequently, the whole of the Bible, Elohim, Achirim, strange gods. In other words, all the idols and idolatries, they all recognize that there are superpowers in the world that surrounds us. And therefore they regard them sometimes as separate powers. That's Elohim Achirim. There are many of them. But Reshit Bara Elohim means they're all unified. What unified them is the mind of Hashem. And the more the science is able to uncover the principles of logic and mathematics found in our universe around us, the more we see there's a mind behind the universe. It says, Marabu Masech Hashem. You've created so many different actual creations, from which we can see the depth of your thoughts, of your cheshbonot, of E equals mc squared, and all the other equations that explain to us how all the different energies of the universe produce a fantastic world filled with thousands of different aspects that, however, work in harmony. So this is Shabbat. That's the concept of 7. On the basis of this, we can understand why we have so many different aspects of Torah observance connected with 7. Can you tell me some of them? Where do you
when
find...
a Chasa and Chala are getting your 7 days of celebration.
Yes. Where do we find it? In Torah? You find it constantly. You find 7. When you sit Shiva, why 7 days? To recognize when something sad happens, a tragedy, we should know it also comes from Hashem. When we celebrate a marriage, what do we have? 7 blessings, 7 days. Yeah. And all the festivals, we have 7 days, constantly. We have 7 times 7.
7 fruits.
Huh?
7 fruits of Israel.
Yes, yes, also. And also, if you go into this, there's also 7, you find it in nature, the 7 colors of the spectrum, and there's 7 notes in the octave. It's something inherent in nature. And there have been many discoveries of a cycle of 7, as we have also in Torah in practice, with the Shemitah and the Yovel and so on, but you find it also in many natural phenomena, to recognize the power of Hashem, which also explains why in Hebrew, how do you say you're making an oath?
Shavua.
Shavua. What's that good? It's also the same root, 7. Why? Why? Because an oath is more than a promise. A promise or an undertaking between people is still only the human level. Oaths, you always bring in a supernatural power amongst the Gentiles, whatever you believe in. But you believe in some even in ancient times, they made a shavua by a supernatural power. When they said, we're going to keep this agreement. If I don't keep to it, then the supernatural power, whichever one I believe in, he will cause trouble for me. That's the concept of a shavua, which is inherent in all ancient texts. And even in Tanakh also, where they speak about an oath being made between a member of the people of Israel and those who believe in idols, then we believe, we say in our name, and they say in their name, their idols. Because also, subjection to supernatural power is Sheva. So he says this is the Olam HaTivi, is a natural world in its harmony. But if there's something entirely supernatural, then we'll talk about Mispar Shmone. Then we have 8. Kishmone Achashiva Shemim Teva. And that's why the Brit Milah is on which day?
8th day.
8 days. Why?
Right above nature.
Because the person, when he's born with a foreskin. No that are. Because Ateva noten ha'ola. V'amila hi ala teva. But Mila represents subjecting our physical life to the supernatural power of Hashem. And we say, therefore, it also teaches, some people say, well, my life is here to do what comes naturally. And that's the basis, let's say, of many outlooks upon the world. Also, a lot of French philosophy follows this principle. You've got to do what's natural and express your simple natural instincts in life. But the Torah says, no, you've got to subject your physical life. The libido is one of the strongest instincts. You will subject that to the supernatural power of Hashem, which is also given to human beings to achieve. Nature is something physical. So he said the Holy of Holies is the 8th level. That's why they say, B'zot yavo Aaron el HaKodesh, the Aaron can go to the most holy place with the help of Brit Milah, which represents reaching a level of Kedusha. Okay, we have to stop there. Leave questions on this for next year. Please, any